The recent survey, that is NFHS 5, stated that 1 in 3 women actually experience physical and emotional abuse, but sadly, only 1 out of 10 report the same.
While we often talk about fight mode and flight mode, there is a less talked about mode that a lot of victims slips into, which is freeze mode.
If a woman shows her anger, she's aggressive, she's bossy, and if a man shows us, maybe that's needed for the work to be get done.
Men had an absolutely no nonsense approach.
But when we talk about infidelity, and which is very common in today's era.
So you mean when a man cheats on a woman, we tend to blame ourselves?
Yes.
They're just scared of being alone.
When women move into a relationship, they tend to lose their individuality. Why does that happen?
Giving up on your own self in the name of love is very parasitic, if you ask me, that kind of a relationship.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Unmute Yourself, where silence is broken and the unspoken finally finds a voice. Today's episode is a conversation that many of you would find relatable and personal as well, because today we are going to unmute the truths women hold close to themselves. The truth about shame, sacrifice, silence, desires, and dreams, which are just rolled under the carpet in the name of roles and expectations. Joining me today is someone who does not shy away from wearing her heart on her sleeve, and she calls a spade. Shweta Rai, a fitness coach, entrepreneur, writer, dreamer. She is someone who will show us the mirror, having some real, raw, but very, very necessary conversations. So whether Shweta is talking about push-ups or squats or heartbreaks, healings, or hard decisions, she is someone who calls the shot without filters.
So Shweta, welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here today with us.
Preeti, I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Thanks for having me here.
Great. So let's straight away dive into the topic.
I guess so.
So the recent survey, that is NFHS 5, stated that 1 in 3 women actually experience physical and emotional abuse, but sadly only 1 out of 10 report the same. Shweta, why do you think that women feel so safe in silence rather than speaking up for their truth?
Preeti, if I have to guess, possibly there are many reasons. The first and foremost, I think as women, we've gotten used to living a double life. You know, a real life and a life that we are portraying to the world, which is a filtered version, blemish-free. And there, if anything, dents that. We have gotten so used to portraying a picture-perfect life that we do not even want to accept to ourselves that something terrible like abuse, either emotional or physical, is happening to us. I also think that as victims of abuse, and I have personally faced both emotional as well as physical abuse. While we often talk about fight mode and flight mode, there is a less talked about mode that a lot of victims slips into, which is freeze mode. So talking about myself, and the world knows me as this strong woman, and I'm physically strong too. And when I encountered a physical violence or physical assault by somebody I trusted, I just stood and I froze. And the next thing I did was to just go and sleep. I did not speak about it. I did not even cry. Next morning, I woke up, I got ready, and I went for work. Coincidentally, the person I was supposed to coach is also a very close friend. And he looked at me and he said, something is not right. And I think that just one word of compassion and I broke down. And I related everything to him that had transpired. This guy is usually a very calm person. You know, his demeanor is very balanced and centered. And I could see his expression shift, to utmost disgust. And that's when it hit me that something terrible has happened. And that's when I snapped out of my freeze mode. So I think the second thing that happens with people who go through, and I don't want to really use the word victims here, but we are victims, is that we slip into the freeze mode, and we do need some kind of a force or a jolt here to get into a fight or a flight mode. And lastly, I think, I don't know if it's women or men, but we are scared of being alone. So we tend to cover up for things. We tend to compromise in the name of relationship just because you don't want to be alone. I think possibly these are the reasons that comes to my mind.
Thank you, Shweta, for opening your heart to us. And I am sure that it is definitely going to help many. Help me understand one thing here, Shweta. When we talk about physical violence, physical abuse, or emotional abuse, if this word comes in mind, I think we automatically relate to a different strata of the society. Okay, that it happens there. But today, with all the modernization where women are actually walking with men in all the areas of life, somehow people are still not very comfortable talking about it and coming about it. And it's like, okay, maybe she only must have done something, and that's the reason. So as we say in the corporate world as well, that if a woman shows her anger, she's aggressive, she's bossy, and if a man shows us, maybe that's needed for the work to be get done.
I would partially agree with this. I think when I started talking about my story with others, no woman was surprised. It was men who were surprised.
Wow.
Which makes me wonder that the statistics that you just quoted at the beginning of the conversation, is that even an accurate depiction?
Yes.
I think there are so many women who are silently suffering. So we are aware, we just don't want to normalize it or talk about it. Such conversation is still not happening, because then how would we be perceived as, like you said, people belonging to the upper educated strata of the society?
True.
But that was one of my the shocking revelation, that when I told this to women, nobody seemed to be surprised.
That's great, and I think that's the power of sisterhood there.
Yes, but again, contrary to how men reacted, men had an absolutely no-nonsense approach. And my male friends told me, you cannot be taking this. However, I know that there are some female friends who did tell me that it's okay to let it slide.
That's sad, actually.
That's very sad.
That's very sad. So now when we are talking about this, I guess it is okay to be afraid of it. But even if we are thinking about changing the scenario and stepping up and talking to someone, I think that itself is a brave enough approach to do
Yes,
so.
yes.
Like you did, you opened up, you talked to your friend, right? If that was not the case, then maybe you would have suffered for a longer time.
Yes, because when you are talking to the other person and telling them about the abuse that you have gone through or you are going through, I think it's more about not living in denial and truly telling yourself that what is happening with you. And once that realization sets in, I think most women would find the courage to do right by themselves.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And I guess it helps some of us here who are in the same situation and still gathering courage to speak up and whom to talk to about this. Talk to your friend, write it down, talk to your any person whom you feel that is your safe space. You can just approach them and share your heart. That's it. Shweta, you said that when we talk about physical and emotional abuse, and when you actually started talking about it, men had a no-nonsense approach about it.
Most men. Yes.
Most men, right? But when we talk about infidelity, and which is very common in today's era, right? Very common. People
Yeah.
speak less about it. But still, when something like this happens, women blame themselves.
So you mean when a man cheats on a woman, we tend to blame ourselves?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing about us as women, we are great at bashing ourselves. We love to, I don't know if it's the conditioning, it's a gender issue, but we love to, blame ourselves for everything. Something as simple as taking a compliment. I mean, when somebody comes and tells you, you look beautiful, do we just respond by saying, thank you?
So,
Right? It's always, but I've not really been working out, so I've gained a little weight, or my acne is flaring up, so on and so forth. We are just, we don't need anybody else to make us feel bad about ourselves. We do that to ourselves. And when something like betrayal, infidelity, and cheating happens, that conditioning makes us look for reason within ourselves. Am I a nagging partner? Have I stopped looking after myself, and maybe because I've gained weight, my partner doesn't find me desirable? Am I not pretty enough? Am I dumb and not smart? When the bottom line is that your partner cheated because he wanted to cheat,
Exactly.
and it has absolutely nothing Nothing to do with you. I mean, I don't want to take examples and names of celebrities, but we know that even such good looking actresses, if looks were a thing, have been cheated upon.
Yes.
Right? I know of cases where husbands have cheated on their pregnant wives. Now, how do you justify that? I think it's a simple case of core values and a value system. So, a man who has decided to cheat on his girlfriend, partner, wife is cheating only because he wants to,
He wants
and it
to.
has absolutely nothing to do with you. And you should not, as women should not be feeling any shame and covering up for them. They have, so if I think women also don't want to talk about it because they think that people would judge them.
True.
You know, like, Preeti, my boyfriend cheated on me, so Preeti is going to go back home and think. It's because, you know, Shweta is not really as pretty as she used to be, and she doesn't really take care of herself anymore. No. And if as a woman you're doing it, please stop it. Please
Yeah.
stop doing this to other women.
Exactly.
A cheater is a cheater. And talk about it, because let me also tell you one thing, it's only going to get worse.
It is, but still women carry on the relationship. They're still into those marriages just for the sake of holding the family together. But
Or
is
they're
it
just,
worth
they're,
it?
no, it's not even holding the family together. They're just scared of being alone. People are so petrified with being with themselves that they would tolerate anything and everything and call themselves a martyr. No, you are, I'm sorry, I'm not going to mince my words here, but you need to really step up for yourself.
Exactly. Someone else's betrayal does not reflect your worth.
Yes.
It is as simple as that. You just cannot fit into their failures. Okay, fine. If he's not able to carry on the relationship here, so I'm not going to hold on the burden alone.
Yes.
It's fine. But then they have to call the shots.
Yeah, but also another thing about us as women is, we blame ourselves, and we also want to be just victims. Like, feel sorry for ourselves and others should feel sorry for us. No, you have to fight it out if you truly love your life.
Yeah, because that they have made it their identity. Okay, fine, this is my identity,
Yeah.
and carving another identity again is a difficult choice, but I think that is worth it. And there has to be a time where you have to step up for yourself, as you said. So, no crap there. So, we want all the women to take charge of their lives and step up. But when we talk about individuality that they have to own now after moving out of a relationship, when women move into a relationship, they tend to lose their individuality. Like, I'll just give you an example. If I had a big group of friends before getting married, and I used to have a weekly outing with them. After marriage, obviously the priorities would change, but suddenly my group became shorter. My outings were less, and then kids happen, then something else happens, and slowly we start losing our identities. Why does that happen?
Oh my God, this is one of my pet peeves and things that I kind of detest in a lot of women. And I don't understand why we do that. I don't know if there is a syndrome, like a martyr syndrome, ingrained in we as women, that we have to give up everything that
We confuse sacrifice with love, right?
And that we have to embrace. Loving the other person means embracing everything, and not just friends, Preeti. I know of people who also give up on their parents. You know, so parents, their friends, their career, their passion, their hobbies, and then they try to burden their partners with all their expectations.
Because of you.
Yeah. So poor men, unless it's, you know, it's those isolated instances of a manipulative man or a narcissistic personality who is trying to isolate you, most times we as women willingly do it. In the name of love, we want to just make the man or the partner the center of the universe and just give up everything. And it makes no sense to me. I think love is not sacrifice. I think if love is not helping you evolve and grow, and it's stunting your own personality, it's stunting your dreams, it's killing your passion, how is it even love?
Exactly. So love expands you. It
Yes.
does not diminish you and make you
Yes.
smaller or erase your identity.
Exactly.
You'll just, I think one says, now you glow differently
Yes.
when you're actually holding on to your identity, but at the same time in a relationship where both partners are equal.
Yes.
So when we put out this question, now this question is out to you all. Make a list of the things that you used to do before getting into a relationship. You love doing that. It could be poetry, it could be writing, it could be dancing, it could be anything, it's just gardening. How many of these things are you still doing? Because that is the real you, that is your essence. So that is one activity that's for you all. And I think we all need to think about it.
I
What we
think,
used to
yeah,
do.
we have a life which is outside the relationship. I mean, I am not saying that we have to sometimes sacrifice, we have to compromise, we have to nurture, we have to take
That's a
care of each other.
relationship, yeah.
But giving up on your own self in the name of love is very parasitic, if you ask me, that kind of a relationship.
True. Now, this is one thing that moving in a relationship, they lose their identity. But then when you get that kind of support where everybody is supporting you, ki, okay, fine, you do something. Now the kids have moved out, that after college and all. The women, we say now it's too late. Yeah, we are already 40. What will we do? Though we have ample examples around us, women who are acing all the fields in their 50s, 55s, even 60s, right? But still, we are not able to come out of this too late mindset.
Yes, because you know that though, like you rightly said, there are ample examples. What percentage? It's still minuscule, right? Now, subconsciously, still the conditioning is there. Get married and have a child before 30, and then once you've had children, you're supposed to be looking after your family and kids while pursuing your career. I'm not saying that the society today does not encourage. However, one cannot come at the cost of other. Now, at 40 or mid 30s or 50, if you want to follow your passion, it would mean that you spend a little more time chasing your dream than looking after your family or your kids or your parents. And then that is where that guilt again comes back in, because that blaming yourself, that I am supposed to be there for my kids, or I'm supposed to be there every night at the dinner table for my husband. And in that, I think we go on a self-sabotage spree, where we think that the burden and the responsibility of a woman at a certain age primarily is family and children.
Exactly. So, as you were just telling this, Indra Nooyi once said that when we say we are balancing work and home, you can never balance work and home. You have to choose your priorities, right? So, it is all about choosing what needs to be done when.
Yeah.
So, even when we are talking about this, obviously the comparison comes in. Okay, she is doing better than me, he is doing better than me. But then what we forget is that everybody has a different starting line,
Yeah.
right? So,
And it's never too late. I mean, I have switched careers in my midlife. I started something brand new when my child was 2 years old. And I had to study and I had to spend a lot of time outside the house. And I know that people question my parenting. And to be honest, it did not bother me then, and it does not bother me today.
Exactly.
And today, at the age of 44, I am still studying. And I know that, I have this itch that every few years I have to do something new.
exactly.
And I just want to really, and look at you, Preeti. I mean, you launched this something, from a scratch. And I'm so proud of you, by the way.
Thank you so much.
So it's never too late,
is never.
whether scientifically, our brain has the ability to learn new skills. Neuroplasticity has proven that we can
Exactly.
change the neural pathways and truly learn something brand new. Your family will be able to manage with.
A very serious topic. Despite all the open conversations on social media, when it comes to bedroom, I think that is a place for silence for most of the women. What's your take on that, Shweta?
Yes, I mean, in a country which is almost 2 billion population, and we've been conditioned to bring up to have children, we don't want to talk about sex. And with our partners, I'm not even saying talking about openly in peer groups or friends, but women not communicating about sex with their own partners. And that's not it, faking it.
Fake it till you make
So
it.
you don't talk about it and then you fake it. And here I'm going to side with the guys a little. I mean, how are they even supposed to understand that your desires and your needs are not being met?
Yeah.
So I think sex is important, right? I mean, be it whether it's a biological need for you or an extension of the emotional connection that you share with your partner, it is important for both. And I think it's extremely essential that you should be able to communicate about it, at least with your partner.
But here, a woman's desire is still a taboo topic to talk about.
Not only a woman's desire, but it's even the fact that a woman leading or initiating it. So I'm a part of many of these women groups on social media, and when women write their issues and problems, they don't even use their names.
Yes,
And these
anonymous.
are just women group. So these are anonymous posts, and then they write about the fact that how dissatisfied they are, or how they would want things differently or the frequency differently. I really want to shout and scream and tell them that rather than posting it here, go and talk to your partner.
Exactly. It's like why is there this shame attached to your body? It's like own your body, own your desires, your joy. It is entirely yours. And as you rightly said, rather than putting it out on a platform, that too in an anonymous way, speak up to your partner about the
Yes.
same.
And I personally and genuinely feel, and I hope I'm not wrong, if not all, most partners, if they care about you, they would take it seriously.
So, Shweta, when we talk about discussing these challenges with a partner, is it just limited to sexual needs, or can a woman talk about emotional needs also to her partner?
I think anything that dissatisfies you, whether it's in the bedroom or outside the bedroom, the first person you should be talking about it is with your partner. Unless your partner is not taking it seriously when there is a serious problem in the relationship, I think most times men, how will they know if you're faking it, whether that the fact that you are sexually satisfied in the bedroom or that you're emotionally satisfied in the relationship? If there are certain things, and no matter how trivial or small, if there is something you want your partner to do, you should be communicating it. And this doesn't make you a bad girl or a, I don't know, it doesn't make you, so if you're talking to your partner about your desires, it is not going to reflect poorly on your character. In fact, any man worth his dime would actually encourage such conversation
They would be
and would like
happy.
it.
Yes, yes. That they are being trusted, and maybe they are giving that safe space to their partner, that
Yes.
she is able to say whatever she wants to,
Yes.
be it any need, be it
Yes.
physical, emotional, mental.
Yes.
That support system needs to be there in a relationship that we are talking.
Please remember, you have as much right to enjoy the intimacy as a man, if not more. And it is your responsibility as well to let your dissatisfaction, be known.
Great. So, moving on to our next question, a next segment, that is inner conflict and the cultural conditioning that we have. So, most of the women who actually are bold and progressive, but sometimes due to the situation, they also fall into this good girl trap of saying yes to something even when they want to scream no. So, have you ever found yourself in such a situation where the cultural voice was louder than your own voice?
So I never set out to be a rebel or not listen to the voice of culture, but somewhere while growing up, I understood that my happiness is my own responsibility, and it made me take certain decisions which I thought that the society would frown upon. Be it when I decided to walk out of my marriage and get divorced and become a single parent and live independently. Even simple things like when I decided to quit my stable job and become a coach. How I choose to dress, how I choose to talk, what kind of activities I enjoy. So, while I have not personally faced that cultural conditioning, I know that a lot of women go through the inner conflict of accepting and agreeing to a lot of things in the name of maintaining peace and harmony in the family or in the relationship, because the word no is frowned upon. Apparently no is worse than a cuss word these days. I think it's very, very deep rooted, Preeti, and I don't know when we will break free of it, but somewhere I know that there are many instances, even in my own relationship, I held on to it longer than I should have, because my mother felt differently, or my female friends felt that I need to compromise a little bit more, and that no relationship is perfect and you need to sacrifice a little, and it's a give and take, and so on and so forth. And in the name of balance and harmony, we don't even realize that when the line has already been crossed. So we we have to become martyrs, which we need to really stop doing that. And we need to start understanding that you can be a good wife or a good parent or a good partner, even if you are taking out time to love yourself and, to step up for yourself. I think it's very important for us as women to really step up for our own selves, because when we are truly happy from within, would we be better partners, better wives, better mothers, better entrepreneurs, and so on and so forth.
True. So it is like owning up to yourself, even your mistakes. Just be your own self.
Yes.
And do not fit into what others are expecting out from you. That's it.
Yes, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to decide, does that seem right to you for your own self? And it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else.
Even if it makes others uncomfortable.
If
that's
it
okay.
makes sense to you as an individual,
True.
it makes sense.
Perfect.
Period.
Perfectly said, Shweta. So, Shweta, one last question to you. If there is one truth you wish every woman would stop hiding, what would it be?
That they love themselves. There's a lot of talk about self-love these days, and people putting self-love is not putting pictures on social media and using hashtag self-love or wearing Lululemon and going for Pilates. Self-love is truly taking care of your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your biological, your financial needs. And we are putting all of that, if not all, most of that on the back burner.
True.
So we don't love ourselves. We are either trying to fit into our families, fit into the society, do what others are doing in the name of self-love. No. Self-love on some days actually simply looks like, for me, grabbing a book, turning my phone off, and reading it for the next 4 hours, because that's something that's giving me happiness and pleasure.
Wow. And personally, what has unmuting your truth has done for you, Shweta?
I think unmuting my truth, made me realize what truly brings me joy and fulfillment in my life. And that realization, with that realization, every day when I wake up, now I seek out more opportunities to bring joy and fulfillment, right, into my life. And it has helped me say no. No to how I want to spend my day, no to how I want to spend my week and my life. So it has helped me clearly understand what I truly want and what I truly don't want in my life.
Wow, great. So the crux is reclaim your voice and your sanity and unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Shweta. That was a great conversation that we had for you. And if you want any more snippets of the same, please write in the comments. See you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti.
Thank you, Shweta.